tonight's bird chat focuses on local spring birding, and we'll be featuring photos and some words from some of our local bird photographers with highlights of the spring migration just winding down now. And if you have questions or observations, hold those to the end, of course. First about the photographers and then about birding in general. We'll have just a couple of sighting notes because Peter was so kind to send this image along that a lot of us would have loved to see. This beautiful tern. Feel free to say something about it, Peter, if you can unmute. Beautiful tern. Go ahead.
Well, the first week in June is the time to be at Nickerson. I mean, every year around that time is when they get these rare, uncommon terns brought in by the large nesting area of common terns there. And I guess the birds come on in because of that, and they may linger for a few minutes or a few days and then take off. And this particular white-winged tern, I was very lucky. It was there for a few days, and I happened to get there just 2 minutes after it arrived, and 5 minutes later it was gone for the day.
Wow. That's a beautiful image. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Just thinking about sightings, again, not going to take a deep dive in what's been out there the last 2 or 3 weeks, but I did want to highlight that we're deep into nesting season. For some of these birds, it's their second brood, probably for this robin that Dick photographed at Croton Point Park. So just be aware of that going on. Help inform your neighbors not to rescue. Here's a great image Tom got of a fledgling northern mockingbird. Look at that, isn't that great? So you can tell it's a fledgling. It's got a shorter tail, might have a little different appearance than the adult. It has a little extra big mouth here. Do you see the gape, the fledgling gape? So this bird has left the nest before it can fly well. That's not an accident. And a lot of times people try to rescue these. I know most of you know this, but it's a PSA that we're going to always and ever this time of year have to repeat to a lot of people. Not to rescue, but to put them back under cover, keep cats indoors, keep dogs and kids away, and the parents will feed them. And so the other challenge, of course, this time of year is that you get these first of season birds out here. Luann got this picture of a young chipping sparrow following around the parent at Black Rock Park. Neat picture, Luann. So just be alert to that. Some funny looking birds around now. All right, so keep your comments and questions. Hold on to those. We'll leave the chat box open, but don't overload that because that can be a little distracting sometimes for presenters. And wait till the end and we'll have time for that. So make a note if you have a question for a photographer and you want to ask them at the end, that would be great. And then we'll turn to general bird and birding topics.
So Anna had asked us to send our best pictures from this local area between March and June. And this was in March. Most of you probably know that there's a leucistic red-tailed hawk that lives in the area of Rockefeller. It's kind of almost a mythical creature, I think, because so many of us have heard it or seen little glimpses of it, know it's there, but have never managed to get close. And I just was really fortunate to see this one. And it's a funny story because I was literally driving back from a shopping trip and I just saw this flash of white in the woods on my right. And I didn't have my camera with me. I only had my cell phone with me. So I pulled over. I took this very blurry picture of this white thing. And I was like, I think that's it. I think that's it. I drove home, unloaded my shopping, grabbed my camera, went back, and it was still there. And so it was like 25 minutes later. And I was so thrilled that it was still there and cooperative for a photo. And I've gotten several blurry pictures in the past, but this is the clearest one that I've managed to get of this leucistic red-tailed hawk, which if most of you probably know, but they don't have any pigment, so that's why it's white.
That's great. Thank you.
This is a palm warbler, which obviously is a pretty common bird in this area. I'm sure most of you have seen it, but it's always a thrill for me when you see your first warbler of the season, and this was mine this year. Just that the palm is normally one of the first ones to arrive in our area, and this was on a Sawmill River Audubon walk at Rockefeller, and just thought it was a nice image where it sort of posed cooperatively without a lot of foliage around it, so I was able to get that nice image of the palm warbler. And then, yes, I've had a lot of good luck with ospreys this spring. So before I took this picture, I'd actually had good luck at marshlands, where there are some ospreys, and I'd managed to get a great picture of a pair of ospreys side by side, which actually got picked up by the Sound Shore. There's some kind of research group out of the Sound Shore that's doing tracking wildlife, and they asked if they could use my picture in some of their posts, so that was kind of nice. But then a couple of weeks after that, I was at Edith Reed Sanctuary, also in Rye, and this was just really funny to watch. I was just watching the nest, and there was this one that's sitting down on the nest. I suspect it's sitting on some eggs, and then all of a sudden the other mate, I don't know, I can't tell which is male or female, but the mate swooped in, landed. I just snapped this picture as it landed. And it was like they had a little conversation where like one parent was checking in with the other, like, how are the kids doing? What's going on? And then they swapped places. So the one that had flown in sat down, and the other one went off to presumably hunt for food or whatever. So I just thought it was a really nice interaction that I'd managed to capture of the parents. And I guess ospreys are kind of interesting because they do mate, I guess, for life, and they sort of take equal shares of the parenting sort of duties. So I just thought that was a nice capture of that.
That's excellent. Thanks so much. That's great. So our next photographer is Steve Kowalczyk. If you can unmute, and I'll spotlight you.
All right. Okay. So I didn't select any black crown night herons for this program, but this is a great egret at Croton Point, and the reason I chose it for two reasons. One is where I actually thought it was unusual. It was in a tree by the tent campground, and not where you usually find them in Croton Bay, between the train tracks and the and Route 9, and also this was good because I was able to get pretty close to it. I mean, it was right by the trail, so I had to walk by it. I did it very, very gingerly, so I didn't disturb him. Okay, next one.
Yeah. Nice breeding plumes there too. That's pretty neat. Yeah.
Okay. This is Teatown Lake, which is my go-to spot for wood ducks. And this day I had a bonanza. I had three groups with one female with 6 wood ducklings, one with 8, and this one had 14. And these had just come off. The mom had just taken off for a swim, and they were scrambling up this split rock in the middle of Teatown Lake. And this is a close-up of a few of them. There are a few more on the rocks, and a few still scrambling up, and a couple still in the water.
That's neat.
Okay, and this is a Croton Point at the edge of the landfill. The one of 4 killdeer chicks that we observed. I thought it's appropriate, since it was just Father's Day weekend, to have a nice young newborn to show.
That's great. Thank you so much. Thanks, Steve. So Pam, let me spotlight you. And if you want to take off your...
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So, this was an incredible find. I was at in Yorktown, where the batting cages and golf range are, and I was walking back west toward the pond where they are, and caught this little adorable wood duck sliding down the rock into the water. And there was another photograph that I took of it scooching along in the water to follow the mother and the other 3 that had gone around the rock at the time. But I haven't seen the mother. I've seen the mother since, but not the chicks. And I've seen her with 11 chicks in the past. So that was one of my favorite shots, because I love the little the sliding of the chick down the rock. So this was a live bird for me, a yellow rumped warbler that I caught at George's Allen Park May 10th. And warblers are tough for me because I hear them, but I don't see them all the time.
Nice and crisp. Nice.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thanks. And great blue heron at the same place where I found the wood ducks. There's a lot of great egrets as well, and this was just one that I really am proud of. And I also learned, and Anne, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the beard comes out of the chest and not the chin, which looks kind of odd to me from this angle because it looks like it's coming out of the chin, but I read that it comes out of the chest. Do you know if that tidbit?
You're thinking of a beard like a turkey. They have some droopy feathers off their neck. That's definitely their neck there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. Okay.
Those are
yeah. They look interesting when they're folded up, don't they?
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
I like the texture you can see on the feathers there. That's fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Ada, if you want to unmute, and we'll spotlight you as well. There you go. All good? Yeah.
Okay, so this was the middle of May. I wanted to see as many warblers that I can before I went on a trip to Iceland. And this was just the day before. I saw a few warblers and I didn't see the rose-breasted grosbeak. I just heard it. And then in the last minute, it happened just 20 feet in front of me. The male and the female were performing. So
wow. Yeah, that's great. That's a beautiful image there. I'm making little grosbeaks, but the curve and everything on that's neat.
okay, and this was just a few days ago in Croton Point Park. I'm doing the nest monitoring, trying to get the bluebird, but we have only tree swallow. Anyway, so when we were looking at the tree swallow, we saw the hawk flying from one tree to another. I think it's a young one. And in one tree, there was the Baltimore Oriole was trying to chase him. I didn't see it so well, but then when I went to the other tree, I saw that actually the Baltimore Oriole was just standing and looking, and the red wing was the one that was trying to chase the poor white-tailed hawk that looked puzzled. He didn't really know what they want from him.
A little drama there.
And these are some of the tree swallows that we are watching, feeding. They have babies, they are feeding them, they are beautiful, but there are no bluebirds.
Not in any of the boxes at Croton Point?
No. And there were 5 boxes with a lot of baby tree swallows. We will try something else next year. Maybe we'll put some decoy.
Yeah. No house wrens in those boxes, though? Just tree swallows?
Just tree swallows, and one place is the house sparrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So Troy, replace that spotlight.
So before we go on to my pictures, I just want to, please excuse the background noise. So I don't usually like to unmute myself. I consider myself now and probably always will be a new birder, and learning the warblers may seem a little bit common, but for a new birder, it's always somewhat difficult. I mean, they're all yellow, they all kind of look alike. But I decided this spring that I really wanted to focus on some spring migrants, learn some warblers. And the way that I do that is by taking pictures of them, because I feel once I get that shot, then I own that species and I can move on. This blue-winged warbler I took at Anglefly Preserve in Crotona. It's a place that I've been spending some time lately. I have to say, Anne, for you teaching me that it's of its distinct buzzy sound, it was kind of a little bit easier for me to find this bird. And while I think it may be simplistic looking compared to the other warblers, I think this guy's got a lot of character.
Nice.
Another place I like to spend time is at Pound Ridge in Pound Ridge. And I was actually looking for the resident indigo bunting that hangs out near the bathrooms there. But this guy came across my path, and I wasn't sure even what it was, but I took his picture. And I like most about this prairie warbler is that its back, it kind of reminds me when my grandmother, when I was young, she would kiss me on the cheek and leave like this smeared lipstick mark.
That's fun. Yeah. You got that little scallop under the eye too, which is a helpful ID. Yeah.
So this is actually one of my most favorite spring migrants. I'm fortunate to have a few of these in my, I did have a few in my backyard. I've always loved their vocals, and I think that black mask they wear just adds to their mystique. This was also taken at Pound Ridge.
Very nice. Thank you, Troy.
Sure.
So, oops, I'll try to get you queued up here, Dick.
Okay.
I think you might be listed under Laura, is that right? Trying to get to your account. Oh, you're just under Richard. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Let me just spotlight that. Cool. All right.
Well, this bird, of course, is a white-breasted nuthatch, not a migrant, of course, but I think he or she is involved in a spring activity because, and they're one of my favorite birds. They're so photogenic. They're so much fun to watch when you get a look at them. They're so tiny and so active. And this bird, I don't think he or she has got food. My impression is that this is a piece of bark, perhaps, and I think it's something that they're involved with a nest, putting that as part of the lining to the nest, and I believe they do nest in holes in the trees. So, Anne, you may know more about that.
Yeah, is this one we watched from the platform there at Rockefeller? Wasn't that one we saw going in and out of a hole there on Nature's Way? We were standing on the platform and that nest was nearby. I don't know for sure. Yeah.
No, I don't. I have this as a Rockefeller bird. I
Well, that's
believe.
what I meant. I'm sorry. Did I say more?
Yes, right on Nature's Way.
Yeah.
That's possible.
Yeah.
That's possible. Yeah, I don't remember the circumstance. I think
I
you're
was-
right. Yes.
I was on that walk, and it was no, it was on the path around the lake. It was at the far end of the lake.
Oh, nice. Good remembering, Rebecca.
Wow.
Thank you.
I remember.
Because I have an almost identical picture, so I was on the same walk.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm glad you didn't choose that one, Rebecca.
Yeah. Good that we have the variety. Nice images.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard.
All right. So this is an eastern Towhee, and this year, earlier in the year, as migration spring was getting underway, I realized that really I had never had a good sighting of a Towhee with or without a camera, and I really made an effort to keep an eye out for them and to try to get some pictures, and I had pretty good luck this spring, and this bird, I was on a walk with Anne with one of the Sawmill Audubon walks, and we were finishing up right at the main parking lot at Rockefeller, and this bird popped up very conveniently and was very photogenic. I really love that red eye, and was able to get some pictures. So very happy this year to get much better acquainted with the Towhees.
Nice.
And this photo was another fortuitous moment at our place near the river in southern Ossining, and Laura, I think we were getting ready for dinner, and Laura said, "Look out there! There's an eagle out there, somewhere in the river." This is near Scarborough Station, and I ran and I got the camera, and sure enough, this eagle, we saw the eagle go into the river, grab a fish, and I was just able to get the camera up and get a few pictures off just at the right time to catch him. So I really, it's wonderful to see eagles on the river, and it was terrific to get this one with a fish.
That's excellent. You can see the tail flopping and the water coming off.
Yes, the eagle was making, it's a pretty good sized fish, and that eagle was making a big effort to get some altitude after snagging it.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you, Richard. So Alan, let me spotlight you if you want to unmute.
Okay.
Cool. Oops, we lost your sound. Wait, you're going to need to start over.
Somehow I got muted again.
Okay, now you're good. Now you're good.
Okay, good. Let me start over here. Yeah, I was going to say that I'd like to be able to say that I spent hours setting this up and waiting for the critical moment to capture this, but that's not quite true. Del and I were walking around the pathway at Rockland Lake. It was early April, and over by the Nature Center, there are a number of, well, they're bluebird boxes, but the tree swallows tend to take them over, and there are a lot of squabbling going over, fighting over them apparently, and this two landed on just like a little wire cage protecting a little sapling, and it was about 30-40 feet away, and just took a quick snap, and fortuitously came out just the right timing.
That's excellent. Wow.
Okay. Red-eyed vireo. For some reason, red-eyed vireos have been very difficult for me to get a decent photograph of. And this one turned out, I just kind of stumbled across it. We were doing our weekly survey in Harriman State Park at Lily Pond. And this one was down low, and it seemed to be pretty agitated, so we guessed that there was probably a nest or something in the vicinity. But he perched up on this branch and stayed there long enough to snap a couple shots.
Wow. It's interesting to see the proportion of the head and the bill in the.
Yeah, he's got kind of a puffed up, almost crest-like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can actually see the red on the eye for a change. This one was another one mid-May that we found. Actually, Della found it at Lily Pond during our Lily Pond survey. It was along a very shady trail, and it was back tucked under I don't know if it was a spice bush or some very heavily leaved shrub. And there's just this little tiny portal where you can see this wood thrush sitting on the nest. It was very dark, so I managed to take a couple shots. I'm not sure what their incubation period is, but the next week when we came by, it was gone. So I don't know if it was successful or it failed and abandoned it. But
one of the things Elijah pointed out to us was how they use those beech leaves, right, on the bottom.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you can kind of tell them at a distance with those. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's neat. Or beech or other pale bleach leaves there. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Wow, neat to see. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
So Peter, if you want to unmute, and I will
Sure.
spotlight you. Okay, you don't have that, so we'll take that off. If you want to turn your video on, we can. There we go. Cool. All right. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I like taking pictures of common birds. Very nice portraits. This is, of course, a Savannah sparrow that was taken at Croton Point, and it was taken right near the administration building. The administration building, they used to have a feeder there, but it wasn't working this year, and that's usually a good spot to get photos. But anyway, this bird was right near there on the ground feeding, and I just stood and waited until it came close.
Nice.
Okay. This is taken in Central Park, Manhattan, which is, I consider my backyard. I guess you could call it the lower Hudson. And this is a nice male rose-breasted grosbeak that I took in the park. Kind of like that shot. I like the lighting on it.
Yeah.
And this is a Virginia rail that was taken in Central Park. The bird was there for several days. It was very difficult to see. It kept pretty much inside the vegetation, would come out once in a while. And I managed to get this. And it was at a really great distance, and that's blown up quite a bit. Something you couldn't do without the new modern cameras. And it was fluffing itself off after bathing. And so that's why the wings are sort of spread out. I have another shot of it with the feathers all fluffed up, but I chose this one.
Well, I don't understand how they survive migrating from the south over Manhattan to northern marshes. I don't understand that.
I think a lot of them don't. I think a lot of them don't. They hit buildings.
I know.
A lot of them get trapped in courtyards of buildings. That's really commonplace that Rita has to rescue them from.
Those and the woodcocks too, right? They're always picking those up
They
around.
hit buildings. They hit the windows.
But I mean, enough of them survive that I don't know. It's a marvel. It's kind of weak flyers, right?
Mhm.
Wow. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
So Bob, did you make it?
I am here.
There you are. I see you. Do you want to be on video or you're good?
Sure. I'm in the dark, but
Yeah, sorry. No worries. Good. Glad you could make it. There you go.
okay. So this Magnolia Warbler, I was Rockefeller State Park. On the way up, I guess it's technically part of the Overlook Trail, but from Swan Lake up, I was chasing some other bird by sound, and Ada came up and said, "Oh, there's a Magnolia Warbler in there." So she snapped the picture and walked away. I don't know. I missed her slide, so I don't know if she had the same bird on, but I just kind of, think these are pretty phenomenal looking birds, and it's a nice treat because I was not looking for it. I was looking for something else, a more mundane bird, let's say.
That's a jewel, isn't it? That's really quite. You can see it that it's back in the underbrush. So yeah, nice.
And yeah, this is a black-throated blue that was, I think this one was up by, on the road up, like the path up to Eagle Hill. But I was looking, again, I can knock phenomenal light on this thing, but I kind of like the green behind it anyway. And I was looking at like the best pictures I've had of this bird from the past, and they were all from the fall. So when they're not as vibrant color-wise, so I don't think I really captured as great as this bird looked with this picture, but it was that's pretty striking. So.
And you have it calling or singing too, so that's neat. Yeah.
And then this was last week at Rockwood Hall. There's a lot of Oriole action over there, so I got some good shots off. And these two are a pair. I think there was a catbird who was trying to get the goodies out of the female Oriole, but I'm sure they got delivered to the nest without any issue. I certainly didn't fight them off for that delicious food there, but the little ones I'm sure got them.
Nice. Very good. Thank you. Yeah. So Kara, let me put the spotlight on. And there you go.
So I monitor bluebird boxes for Sandy Morrissey's Bluebird Banding Project. And there's about 40 boxes up at Whippoorwill Golf Club, and which is an incredible amount. We do about 15 of them. And so I'm used to opening the box, looking in. There's either bluebird eggs in there, they're tree swallow eggs. And so I decided that I wanted a box on my own property, but it was going to be a long shot if I got bluebirds or not, because, wait, hold on 1 second. Sorry, plane flying by. So it was going to be a long shot if I got bluebirds because I don't have a lot of meadow. So I'm checking the box, nothing. And then one day I look in and there's this little beautiful moss nest in there. The cutest thing you ever saw, way prettier than a bluebird or a tree swallow nest. And then lo and behold, the little eggs. And I knew immediately it was chickadees from the looks of the nest. And then there was like a little feather on top of it. I guess the eggs were under the feather. And then we got that cold spell in April, and we were just all worried that the bluebirds were going to die. There are no insects around when it's cold and rainy like that. So we bought mealworms and I put them out there. And then you saw the little babies. And each day I would be so nervous. I only checked it like once a week, that they wouldn't survive. I mean, it takes like 6,000 insects to raise one brood of chickadees. And lo and behold, when I looked in the last time, this is what I saw. There's like 6 in there, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then they fledged. And actually right before this, I just saw a couple of them at my feeder. And I hadn't had any, yeah, it was really cool. I had not had any all summer, maybe like 1 or 2. It's such a lack of them. And now you just see them kind of buzzing around near the parents. So that was just so fulfilling.
Very neat.
Okay, so this prairie warbler, we were at Sterling Forest and walking around for about 5 hours and not seeing so many birds. And then they had a nest there, these guys. And so I love that. It's got the little inchworms, and it's probably an inchworm, right? In its mouth. And yeah, I just like the composition. And in getting the photo, I think I picked up 9 dog ticks. And yeah.
Nice.
So this yellow-throated vireo, we didn't see tons of birds at Sterling Forest. And then finally we saw this bird and I was really excited, and it was very up close to us, but it was extremely, extremely agitated, the parent bird. And then we look on the tree trunk, there's a huge black, I guess, rat snake, about 3 feet long, on the trunk of the tree. And you could see it's either coming down the tree, which most people thought that looked like it was coming down from the tree. And this bird was flying at that snake. It was so upset with the snake. And so what we figured was that maybe the snake had attacked its nest. And, you know, the whole group walked on, and I was just staying. I was so upset. I'm like, how is it that one of the few birds we saw, and now we're seeing its nest about to be attacked or attacked by the snake? Like, this is so not right. So then we kept birding. We came back down about an hour and a half later, and the little fledgling down on the lower right was on a lower branch. It was about 2 feet off the ground, and it was not moving. You know, it wasn't going to move from that branch. We were able to really stand there and get some photos. And so I imagine that it fell out of the nest or fledged a little bit early. And I don't know, Anne, you can weigh in on this. I don't know if that looks like a bird old enough to survive on its own or not.
Sure. Yeah, others can weigh in too, but you know, it's fully feathered. It needs a little more on the head. It's gripping well, so it
Yeah.
could take it out of the nest, right?
Yeah.
Feed it. But that's great to see them both. That's I love that you had images of both of them. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, hard to watch that though. We're getting a lot of calls now about fledglings, and it's hard to watch that. There's a high mortality, you know.
Yeah.
Even apart from our building glass and cats and the other mistakes we make outside.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough. So neat that you got this snapshot. Thank you. Thank you. So thanks everybody. We invite your, let me just take off the spotlight. We invite your comments and questions about those. You could put them in chat. Take that spotlight off. There we go. Put them in chat, or feel free to unmute now. Yeah, you got a comment there from Bonnie saying how much she loved those chickadees. Yeah, really nice.
So I sent you a
Yeah,
few photos,
Suzanne
Tina.
Kavik was saying it's helpful if photographers, I don't know if all are comfortable or want to do that with each message, to say what equipment they were using. So if you want to kick us off on that, Kara, on what you were using for those images. I'm sorry, Kara.
I was using my Canon R5, and it's got a 500 millimeter fixed lens. And while it's the lightest long zoom lens on the market, it still got very heavy for me. And with my recent back issues, I had to kind of not use it so much. So some of these were taken with that Sony RX10 Mark IV. Troy uses the same camera, and it's very, very, very light. It's a bridge camera, and it's been tough to learn how to use it. Once that I've gotten it down, you know, to walk in Sterling Forest for 3 hours or so, you know, that's very doable. The other, absolutely not doable. So all my pictures tonight, yeah, were with that Sony.
Nice. Yeah. Any other photographer want to weigh in on your equipment? Rebecca, do you want to say something?
Sure. Yeah. So I have a Canon PowerShot SX70, which I think is known as a bridge camera because it doesn't have the interchangeable lenses, but it has a wonderful zoom. It's a 65 times zoom, and I found it more than adequate for getting great bird pictures from a distance. And I like that it's not quite as heavy for carrying around on a long walk.
Yeah. Thanks. And yeah, Alan, Margaret was saying beautiful color on those tree swallows. That really was.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was going to say that I've been using a Canon R6 mirrorless with a 100 to 500 zoom lens pretty much exclusively lately. And it's a fantastic camera. The nice thing about it, So you can have a completely silent mode so that you don't get that annoying click, click, click.